Last week, the ruling All Progressives Congress inaugurated 34 chairmen of its state executive committees. However, what ordinarily would have been a routine exercise was not without drama, as at least 13 state chapters of the party rejected the chairman and the excos recognized by the national leadership of the APC. State factions of the party emerged after the APC held the state congresses in October last year. Ever since, all attempts to reconcile the warring factions have yielded no positive result. Now, joining us to discuss the crisis enveloping the state chapters and how the party intends to resolve them before the 2023 general election is Professor Ussiju Medaner, Director of Organization of the APC and member of the party's Caretaker Extraordinary Convention Planning Committee. Good morning, Professor Medaner, and welcome to the show.
Good morning, Dr. Ruben, for having me.
Yes, thank you for joining us, Professor Medaner. Well, your party seems to be facing serious crisis. How serious is the crisis? Because the evidence before us is that in many state chapters, the party is factionalized, and there's even no consensus around the February 26th convention as proposed.
Ruben, I think let's go back to history. This party in 2015, there were almost 20 crises in 21 states. And subsequently in 2018 convention, there were a lot of crises, you know, and that is how we went to the general elections. But today we have 1 or 2 states. I think we have 35 states, not 34, as you said, because including FCT that have received their certificate of returns. And again, if you look at it, issue of crisis is something that party manages. Today, I've seen the press release of Kano chapter, the Shekarau side, where they made commitment to the party. So we can say at 70% of the, let's say, dialogue and conversation, discussion has been achieved. The party. Then what I call faction anytime or parallel excos is where you have 2 parallel let's say committee that has been sent to conduct congresses or congress, and they split it into 2 and conducted congress, let's say, in different venue. That is not what we have in APC. What we have, there are aggrieved members, actually, who are not just happy with the outcome of the Congress. And as a party, you need to bring them together to reconcile them. You see our sister party, that is the opposition, PDP. Very recently, during the primaries in Ekiti States, you have seen that was the time they were even conducting congresses to elect delegates, and they have conducted national convention without congresses in the state. But here, I think the CECPC has achieved a lot. They have conducted ward congresses successfully in 8,809 wards, then in 774 local governments, including 6 area councils in Abuja. And now, if you look at it, it's just the last lap. And the notice of convention has been issued. You have seen it in the media that actually all the items of pre-convention has been achieved. So we'll give kudos to CECPC. But let me just say something. Let me make correction, and I've been saying it. People, sometimes they mistook me for member of the CECPC. I'm a director of organization in the party. CECPC is a creation of NEC, 13-member committee, which in compliance with Article 13.3 of the party constitution, which gave the NEC powers to create a committee, either ad hoc or whatever. So that is the crisis. I think Kano and Sokoto discussion are ongoing. So I don't think that we have problems. CECPC have achieved a lot, and I think almost 8 points, 8 milestones achieved by the CECPC. Kudos to the Memala Buni's led committee. They have achieved a lot. You know how they came in. There was serious crisis. The party was at the verge of collapsing at that material time, but they succeeded in bringing everyone together to show that it's the only party in the history of Nigerian politics that conducted registration of members across 120,000, more than 120,000 polling units. And I think it's an achievement, serious achievement, where these kind of things happen. And again, the build-up to the convention, you know, I've been saying it and I will repeat it over and over again. Election or national convention or anything elective is not an event, is a process. And the process started from the World Congress, from the registration itself. If you look at Article 10 of our party, mention some, let's say, organs of the party. It starts from polling unit now to ward, from ward to local government, then the zonal ESCO in the states, then the states, then you have the national, you have the NEC, you have the convention, which is the highest body. Now, all this thing has been achieved. That means they have scored, CECPC has scored more than 80% now, and they deserve kudos. We have seen the PDP has not even conducted zonal congress in the south, north-west. We know what happened. Up to now, they have not gone back to conducted this thing. After the convention, they went to southwest and conducted zonal congress. That means some delegates were exempted from the national convention. These are the kind of things. So APC, as a ruling party, doesn't have that luxury of impunity. They are doing everything in compliance with the constitution and the guidelines of the party.
Right, thank you for that positive note, Prof. But the reality, according to reports, is quite different. There is a crisis within the APC across the country. Osun State, Delta State, Zamfara State, Rivers, Ogun, Kwara, Gombe. Gombe, you've had a lot of resignations within the party. Osun State, you have the top faction and the Iliri Oluwa faction. Delta State, you have the tussle between Senator Omoagege and the Minister of State for Labor and Productivity, Festus Keyamo. Zamfara State, Kabiru Marafa's faction and the Matawale faction. Rivers State, you have the Senator Magnus Abe faction and the Minister for Transportation, Rotimi Amechi's faction. Ogun State, you have the current governor, Dakwa Abiodun, and the former governor, Senator Ibikunle Amosu. I could go on. Why have reconciliation efforts failed thus far? Because they have been on, efforts have been made, all of that has been reported. And yet, there seems to be no harmony within the party. We're often told that, oh, it's just a family feud, but we all know that family feuds are actually the most bitter, most intractable type of feud that there is. Is there any hope, because the APC convention is just around the corner, is there any hope of final reconciliation of all these disputes across the country before February 26th? Or are you going to head into the national convention a divided house?
What you have mentioned conspicuously, I don't think those things exist. But, you know, they have been anchored by what I call conflict entrepreneurs. There are so many people in any party that they are conflict entrepreneurs that are within and around some stalwarts, real, so that they issue statement on the behalf of those people. But in reality, the party is reaching each and every member of the party. You have seen the interim report that was by the Reconciliation Committee that was submitted on the 31st of last month. And, you know, when you have something like reconciliation, it's an ongoing. I have mentioned that of Kano, where the other aggrieved member even mentioned that, yes, we are still on talking point. So definitely, you continue all these issues. Some of them is in the state where some issues were mentioned. You see people, because they want to benefit or they are benefiting from inconvenience, they continue trying to make it an issue. This party is solid now. I'm telling you, there is no cause for alarm.
Okay, Professor Medaner, if you look at the APC convention, the party has already notified INEC, and there are persons within the party who say that the convention will go on. But if you look at the aspirants for the position of chairman of the party, they are all from the north. Not a single one of them is from the south. Is this an indication that the APC more or less has zoned the presidency of the party for 2023 to the south?
If you look at our pre-convention activities, you see the committees, that is subcommittees, will be announced on the 19th of this month. By that means there is no zoning committee. They have not sat to discuss, but people have aspiration. Maybe people from the south, they are gearing up too. People need to make consultation. This is a part. If people came out early, it doesn't mean that, oh, it's just for this side or that side. What I mean, we must have a party before anybody aspired for any position. Right now is the building of the party that we are into. Once we have a party, the party belongs to all Nigerians, and they will exercise their franchise. Everybody is allowed to do whatever within the ambit of the law. So that is it.
Right, I've talked about rival state factions and people rejecting state chairmen from their rival factions. To that, I'll even add Enugu State. But what is the status of Sokoto and Kano regarding their state chairmen?
Oh, I have mentioned Sokoto that they are discussing too between the two warring aggrieved parties. And in Enugu, I think they are discussing too. You know, human beings sometimes actually, his ego needs to be massaged. He needs the party to talk to him. Some actually, as I mentioned before, they benefit from such things. They will come out instead of people following, maybe exhausting the internal mechanism put in place. You see them sometimes, they want to be heard. So the party is reaching each and every member. Now, the conspicuous issue mentioned now is Kano, Sokoto. Now, the people of Enugu, they came out to discuss. And I know they've been working together. And I know they'll come out strong and they'll come out united, because maybe they have little issues. But Congress has been conducted in that place without any parallel Congress reported. Maybe within them, they feel like there is something they need to iron out, and they are discussing that issue.
Well, Professor Medaner, I understand the fact that you're optimistic that the February 26th convention will hold. But we have had that some members of the party have already filed suits in court to stop the convention and to also question the legitimacy of the extraordinary Caretaker Convention Committee. And this is not the first time that will happen. Do you have any fears that this convention may not hold and its outcome may be a subject of protracted litigation?
But you should know there is a Supreme Court judgment on the legitimacy of the
well, that was a technical matter in the Ondo State case. Jagede versus Akeredolu. Yeah, but the Supreme Court can still reverse itself.
Yes, exactly. So there is Supreme Court judgment, which the majority judgment affirm the legality of the party. So there is no way minority judgment becomes a kind of a reference judgment. There is no way. If that could have been, I think the late Awolo would have been a president in 1983. The current president in 2011 would have been declared a president because there was a minority judgment of the Supreme Court. And, you know, this party will always do things in the interest of the party. So everything, as I said, election is a process, not an event. The process have started. You have seen sometimes you see some kind of issues that will come up. The party must think and do something that will benefit the party in the interest of the party. So party always think of the interest of the party as enshrined in its law books. There is no cause for alarm if you look at what we're facing and what the party is doing. They have promise has been fulfilled. There is no single promise that has not been fulfilled. So we are going, and I am assuring members of the party that the party will do everything in the interest of the party.
Okay, thank you very much, Professor Ussiju Medaner, for joining us this morning on The Morning Show.